Greetings to all on the other side of the screen. I am the Overly Positive Fanboy, and this is Overly Positive Vlogs, the show where I give my unfiltered thoughts on the latest TV. And it's Valentine's Day, and for this Overly Positive Vlogs Valentine's special, we're covering 3 different episodes from 3 different shows, all in one vlog. First up, the BEAKER girls. In this episode, Jess gets her first crush, and has absolutely no idea how to handle it, essentially causing an escalating series of lies and deflections that ultimately cause things to crash down a chaotic mess. Also, Flo goes on a date. Jordan is worried because, the downsides of online dating. But yeah, in Jess's plotline, she basically ends up developing a crush on Paisha's brother, and when quizzed on it by Tyrone, she basically deflects and claims that actually Paige has a crush on him, and that leads to Tyrone avoiding Paige for a good chunk of the episode. And then when it looks like the jig is up, Jess decides to confess that the whole thing was ultimately a scam that she did to get material for a stand-up comedy routine, which she was not doing before by race, and now she has to make up material for that. Yeah, basically a standard Faulty Towers plot. Look up TV tropes. Also, Jess winds up getting some advice from her dad. Whether it works, I won't know, but yeah, it does lead to a lot of very awkward attempts at telling jokes. I've been starting to wonder if Tracy had been sidelined a little this season. It seemed like she and Jess weren't interacting a lot. And this episode actually kind of rectifies that, because it does have Tracy feeling a bit insecure because she didn't notice that Jess was having her first crush and had to be told about it secondhand. But yeah, as I said, the whole thing does get sorted out a-okay. And funny enough, it doesn't actually lead to any further romantic developments much. Outside of Jess noticing that it's possible that Peter likes her mum. So yeah, that's happening now. Also, as I said, there's Flo's plot, where she goes on a date with this very nice guy. Jordan's suspicious and at one point accuses him of thievery, but turns out not to be the case. And then they wind up meeting up again in the dumping ground, and they actually end up getting on really well with everyone. But unfortunately, Flo ultimately decides not to see him again because he's just too much of a show-off. Pot, kettle, black. But yeah, overall this was a pretty fun episode, if deliberately cringy in all the right ways. Then of course there's also The Last of Us episode 3. Yeah, I've been hearing a lot of hype around this episode, and I'd say it lived up to it. So yeah, this episode starts off with Joel and Ellie 10 miles west of Boston, heading out to this location. Some old friends of Joel's that he feels could help them out. And then the rest of the episode basically tells the lives of these old friends in question. This redneck, probably right-wing leaning conspiracy nut called Bill, who essentially takes over an entire town all to himself in the early days of the apocalypse and rigs it with booby traps and all sorts. It's literally just him in this one neighborhood. Until he winds up meeting Frank. Frank's this guy who falls into one of his traps, and he stays over for a shower and dinner, and then the two end up starting a romantic relationship. And when this was happening, my parents were actually concerned that there was going to be some sort of betrayal coming. And I remember thinking, well, I've been seeing a lot of hype, and I don't think that's going to be the case. But if that's not going to be the case, then what will happen? Because this is The Last of Us. Something's probably going to go wrong. So the rest of the episode had this underlying feeling of tension as the years passed. Bill and Frank seem to be living their lives happily. And then at one point we see them meeting Joel and Tess, per Frank's invitation, which Bill is not too happy about at first. There's this really sweet scene with strawberries, and unfortunately raiders show up one day and Bill gets shot and things look bleak. And then we skip to 2023 and one of them's in a wheelchair and deteriorating, and I'm not gonna lie, it took me way too long to figure out that it was Frank in the wheelchair and not Bill, because, yeah, Bill was the one who got shot earlier. I figured, cause effect, but nope. It's actually Frank who's in the wheelchair, suffering some sort of degenerative condition. Yeah, he ultimately decides to commit suicide. So they spend one last day together, and then it turns out that Bill set things up in a way so that he would die of the same method that Frank would, crushing up pills in their wine or something. So they essentially go to bed and die in each other's arms, and this beautifully tragic end to their story. And yeah, then we cut back to Joel and Ellie as they arrive in the house and realize something's wrong, and Ellie reads this goodbye note that Bill left. And when I was hearing all these words about, making sure to look after the people you love and protect them no matter what, like, I know Bill was talking about Tess, who is now dead, but, when I was hearing this, I couldn't help think of what I know the story of the second video game is, and the ending of the first game's plot, and yeah, that's, oh boy, that's gonna come back to haunt them later. But yeah, we also get to see Joel and Ellie finally change clothes into their iconic outfits from the games, and that's nice to see. But yeah, as I said, this one was a really good episode. I could definitely understand where all the hype came from. And now there's the one that I was never expecting to put on this video. South Park. Yep, Series 26 is back. And it's actually airing on cable TV over here in the UK, so I can actually watch it too. A part of me was worried it was going to become a Paramount Plus thing, because that could happen. But yeah, this episode was actually pretty funny, because it's basically Stan getting jealous of Kyle spending all his time making TikToks of Token, and Cartman, in an unusual display of empathy, decides that he wants to try and split up Kyle and Token so that he and Stan can patch up their relationship, almost like he's shipping them in a way. And yeah, like I said, this is unusually nice behavior, so what could possibly ruin it? Cupid me. Yep, this guy's back, and he seems to have gone through some changes since the last time we saw him. He's now going by Cupid Yee, and is sporting a lot of anti-Semitic conspiracy theories, to the point where now the whole school believes that Kyle runs Hollywood. Yeah, this is very obviously satirizing all the stuff going on with Kanye West. And what? Ye West? When did that happen? Yeah, honestly, this is the main crux of the episode. I really couldn't help laughing at just how much it was escalating. Like, it even gets to the point where everyone in town is believing this stupid rumor, and Cartman's going on talk shows or podcasts or something, dressed up in the exact same outfit that Ye West was wearing when he went on Alex Jones. Yeah, the biggest surprise of the episode, though, is that even Cartman has limits to his anti-Semitism. Like, when Cupid Yee starts talking about how Hitler's amazing, Cartman's like, what? No, no. Like, that is not what I would have expected from the kid who once literally caused a Nazi party to form around the Passion of the Christ. Like, remember that? He was literally goose-stepping through the streets dressed like Hitler. And now this kid has the gall to say that Cupid Yee praising Hitler is too far. Maybe character development set in at some point and I didn't notice. I haven't seen the Streaming Wars, by the way, so there could be something there I'm missing, but yeah, speaking of the Streaming Wars, I see that Randy is finally back to his old geologist position in his original outfit, meaning that Integrity Farms must finally be dead. Thank God, that stuff is really getting on my nerves. But yeah, Randy Marsh seems to be one of those woke people are ruining Hollywood types, which doesn't feel surprising, sadly. Yeah, that got a laugh out of me when he just going on all these rants about how woke politics are ruining Star Wars and Marvel, and in front of Gerald, who has like no idea what he's going on about. Also, he just caps that off by saying Avatar 2 sucks. Like, there's nothing woke in Avatar 2. The only racial diversity in that is the blue aliens or the teal aliens. Yeah. And, I'm getting sidetracked, but yeah, ultimately this whole thing escalates to Cupid Yi going on a rampage across the school, shooting people with arrows that turns them into mindlessly anti-Semitic zombies, and I couldn't wonder if they were doing a school shooting parallel. They never really address it compared to Series 22, but yeah, this episode also kind of plays ambiguous whether Cupid Yi is real or not, because there's this one scene where Cupid Yi starts flying into Tolkien's bedroom and whispering to him, but then when Tolkien's dad shows up, it's very clearly just Cartman sneaking out the window. But then in the climax, everyone can see Cupid Yi, and like that's played like he's definitely real, and the whole thing's bizarre. Also, I'd never really assumed Cupid Yi was a Valentine's holiday figure before. That was unexpected. But yeah, this was a pretty fun episode overall. Like, definitely a strong start to this season. Let's just hope they can keep the momentum going and not go into anything too dumb. So those are the 3 episodes I've lumped together into this Overly Positive Vlogs Valentine's special. That'll be all for now, folks. And remember, it can be a harsh world out there. So why don't we try and make things a bit more positive, shall we?